Should I be referring to you, Andrea, as a former Greggs worker? Oh, no, we're not the BBC here. What did you make of that?
I found it quite bizarre because I was just a Saturday kid when I was 16.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's quite a while ago. I thought we may as well refer to Kemi Badenoch as a former McDonald's worker. I mean, I once worked at Waitrose, would you believe? Maybe that should be in my CV. It was an extraordinary set of results for reform on Thursday. I mean, be honest, did you think you would do that well?
I mean, we had a sense of magic, actually, Camilla, on the doorstep. You remember the 2019 election, you could sense that magic then when we was trying to get Brexit. That's why Nigel lent votes to the Conservatives. And no, it was amazing on the doorstep. I mean, what was remarkable, Camilla, was in Labour areas, in Labour strongholds, like the Grimsbys, the Scunthorpes, we was getting equally as much support as we was in the solid Conservative areas. So it was quite remarkable, actually.
So now people are going to be asking, right, how will you govern in the councils that you now control? Tell us about that, because we know you're very strong on migration, illegal migration, legal migration. You've said your own thing about tents and migrants. We'll get onto that in a minute. But you're in control of councils now. So what will reform actually do to solve the migrant crisis in the areas that you are now governing?
Right. Well, do you want me to answer that specifically first, or shall I answer about what we're going to do in the council first and then come on to that? I'll probably do that.
Yes, please.
So it's about restoring trust in politicians. I mean, you've seen, Camilla, people don't trust politicians, full stop. There's a great deal of apathy there. And this is why in my manifesto, I made sure that I didn't overpromise. We've seen what's happened to the Labour government, haven't we? Putting stuff in there which there wasn't going to do, etc. as well. So the thing for me, what I want to do is, I mean, thankfully, Lincolnshire County Council is now controlled by reform. So we can have a Lincolnshire Doge. We can look in fine detail at the balance sheet to see how we can make savings, because the most important thing is that people are struggling, Camilla, and we need to make sure we keep council tax low for people and we provide better services. And this is why I've sort of said we need to look at these diversity, equity and inclusion roles, because I find these are a waste of taxpayers' money personally.
Yes, but hang on that though, there's a freedom of information answer from Lincolnshire County Council on precisely that issue. And it said that Lincolnshire County Council doesn't employ any diversity, equity and inclusion officers.
No, but that's, no, it does, because there's actually, it's the way it's worded. And if you look on LinkedIn, and I've been sent a lot of stuff, I mean, that was actually our freedom of information request. It's the way you word it. They've actually called people coaches now. If you ask for, have you got any officers, they don't specifically, they've got coaches, they've got mentors. So I've been uncovering a whole lot of stuff overnight. They're just rebadged as other things, Camilla, which is quite disingenuous, I think. So we need to look at stuff like that. But also, I want to set up a transport for Lincolnshire, just like they have a transport for London, where we have key decision makers on there and stakeholders to finally solve these transport issues across Lincolnshire. As you know, it's a massive rural county. A bus should be a lifeline, not a last resort. And I'm also passionate about the skills agenda. I'm going to have an industry-led skills board. I mean, right from looking at the British Steel, they can't get enough engineers. Speaking to farmers, that they can't also get people to work their equipment because it's so technical, some of the new equipment nowadays. And we can't get enough tradesmen. So we need to actually future-proof the economy, should be industry-led of what skills we need. So, but most importantly, as I said, it's about making sure we have a lean, mean local government that works for the people and that will start listening.
This video is sponsored by Saily. Saily is a brand new eSIM service app. What it does is get you a local SIM card that you can use when you're traveling, so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a text back home. They've got eSIM plans in over 160 countries and 8 regions, so pretty much wherever you're going, they'll be able to make sure you're connected. So how does it work? Well, all you've got to do is hit our link in the description to download the app. It will work on iOS or Android. Via plan, you can choose the best time frame for you, and then just install the eSIM on your phone. When you land at your holiday destination, you can activate your plan instantly. Saily eSIMs only ever have to be installed once, so when you go on your next trip, you just buy a plan for a new country, turn that eSIM back on, and just like that, you could be watching the GB News YouTube channel. You can be connected anywhere you go, and you don't have to deal with patchy Wi-Fi in your hotels. So get sorted for your next trip by downloading Saily using the link in the description below, and if you use our code NEWS at checkout, you'll get an exclusive 15% discount on us.
I mean, that will be the challenge for many councillors that have been elected for reform, because a lot of our local councils are indeed near bankrupt or bankrupt. But let's just go back to this migrant issue, because you made your acceptance speech. You made this point about housing migrants in tents rather than hotels. But that doesn't make any sense, does it? Where would you put the tents? How would you connect them to utilities? Where would they be located? Do you regret making that comment now?
Oh, no, of course I don't. No, I'll stand by it, Camilla. No, I mean, look, to me, they house illegal migrants in tents in France, in other countries. And the whole point of that was to illustrate that we are soft touch Britain. What it creates, if people are coming over here, they're getting put in hotels, they're getting their expenses paid, they're getting food, etc. We're going to actually attract more. We're never going to solve it. So by having the tent situation like they have in France, it's going to stop this push to come to Britain. And let's face it, taxpayers should not be paying for putting people in hotels. Now, regarding what can I do, your original question, because I always like to answer questions. Regarding that question, I would say that I want to look at, because there's some hotels in Lincolnshire, and I want to look at, can we do any legal challenges on this? Because I remember when I was an MP and I asked a question in Parliament and I got booed by both Labour and the Green Party for saying we need to release the stats per nationality, crime stats per nationality, because I'm speaking to local people and they're worried about their daughters going out there and the misogyny. And so we need to actually push back and look at, is there any legal challenges we can do with this government? So I'm not going to make promises, but I will look in, and see what we can do to challenge.
Just two counterpoints to that. First of all, it doesn't matter if the migrants are housed in tents or in hotels. If they're of a criminal mindset, they're still in of danger, or could be putting local people in danger. And second of all, in what world will the good people of Greater Lincolnshire want tent refugee camps in their backyards?
No, I'm not talking. I'm talking about as they come across, as they have it in France. So
down in Dover?
Well, yeah, I do that as a temporary situation. Why would the
good people of Dover want tents and refugee camps on their doorsteps?
Also, I mean, reform's correct that we must come out of the ECHR so we can start pushing people back. I mean, what I really don't understand is that we've given millions, and even when I was Conservative MP, I challenged the government on this, giving millions to France. They leave a safe country to come to another safe country.
I totally agree with you on that.
With France.
I totally agree with you on that. But in what world will the people of Dover advocate refugee-style camps like we see in the third world with tents erected in their backyards? They just won't want that.
Well, it's got to be a contained area. It's got to be a contained area to then we've got to send them back to France. We've got to start sending. My whole point is we've got to send them back to France, Camilla. They shouldn't be coming over in the first place from a safe.
Is your tent idea your idea, or has it been endorsed by the party? Because Reform sort of distanced themselves from this.
Yeah, no, it's my idea. Of course it is, yeah. No, Camilla, I've always been a politician who speaks my mind and puts my views forward. That's what I'll always continue to do.
Can you tell me any more about these rumoured defections? Some of your old Conservative colleagues are apparently flirting with the idea of following in your footsteps to Reform. Suella Braverman, do you reckon she'll defect?
I don't know. You're going to have to ask Suella.
What's your feeling? You can't rule it out, can you?
Well, you can't rule anything out. But the fact is, you're going to have. Have you had any
conversations with her?
Not with Suella recently, no. But
how about Edward Lee and Jack Rankin, who are also cited in the papers as potential Reform MP switchers?
Look, I don't know about specifics. All I know is the people I haven't spoken to those two. For months, Conservative MPs and former MPs have been messaging me. We've got former ministers who's been contacting me, asking what is it like inside Reform. And I do feel we'll see more defections. But do you know something? However, we've got to have the right people with the same values who believe in Nigel. I mean, I came across because I want Nigel to be Prime Minister and I believe in him. Just as I supported Boris, I support people I believe in. And we have such a stringent vetting process, far more stringent than the other parties. I mean, we had a former colleague of mine, a councillor, a Conservative councillor who didn't even pass vetting. So it depends whether people pass vetting as well.
All right. Thank you very much. I have carefully noted what you've said there, because you said you do get approached by Conservatives asking what life is like in Reform. So that is interesting. We need to leave it there, Dame Andrea, and I'm sure you'll support this because we're going to be discussing the VE Day with a veteran in just a moment. But